Kanse, I'm Kristanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. RCMP in New Brunswick have charged a man from Kingsclear First Nation with 15 additional charges of attempted murder and discharging a firearm at police. The charges are related to an April 15th incident at a home on the reserve just 20 kilometers west of Fredericton. 34-year-old Michael Christopher Sabatis allegedly barricaded himself inside the home, then allegedly fired dozens of gunshots at police through the windows. Police did not return fire, but 7 RCMP vehicles were hit. An RCMP emergency response member was also struck in the head by a bullet, but was not injured thanks to a ballistic helmet. Tear gas was deployed, and Sabatis and a 50-year-old woman were forced out of the house and arrested. The woman was released. Sabatis is scheduled to appear in court on July 25th. Former Assistant Commissioner of the RCMP's F Division in Saskatchewan, Rhonda Blackmore, was recently honored in Lange as First Nation leadership continues to call for her reinstatement. Blackmore was relieved as commanding officer in June after anonymous complaints were filed against her. She is now the RCMP's Assistant Commissioner of Indigenous and Support Services in Saskatchewan. An honor song was sung for her, and she was given a star blanket by Prince Albert Grand Chief Brian Hardlott and Lac La Ronge Chief Tammy Cook-Searson. The Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations has been calling for Blackmore's reinstatement. They say she showed a strong leadership during the multiple murders at the James Smith Cree Nation and worked hard on increasing Indigenous RCMP members. The FSIN says they want the RCMP to investigate the anonymous complaints. La Ronge is located about 240 kilometers north of Prince Albert. The RCMP are looking for 3 Fort McMurray residents after they allegedly stole $30,000 worth of cigarettes from a Northern Alberta First Nation. According to RCMP, on the night of June 16th, the cigarettes were stolen from a sea can on the Fort McMurray 468 First Nation. RCMP used security footage to trace a suspect vehicle to a home in the town of Fort McMurray, 38 kilometers away. They found several unopened cigarette packs inside, and they seized 449 packs of cigarettes and small amounts of cocaine and fentanyl. Arrest warrants have been issued for a 40-year-old man, a 28-year-old man, and a 28-year-old woman. They are being charged with break-and-enter and failing to comply with the probation orders. An independent review board tasked with looking into the causes of last year's Eagle gold mine disaster in north central Yukon say a mandated review board could prevent future incidents. Just over a year ago, the mine experienced a heap leach failure, causing cyanide to be released into the surrounding environment. In a report released last week, the review board found multiple factors triggered the incident, including too much water accumulation within the heap. Engineer Mark Smith sat on the board and co-authored the report. He said at a technical briefing on Tuesday that tailings dams under mandated review boards have never failed and suggests the territory form its own board for significant projects like the Eagle mine.
You can manage that through the factors that we've said, we've recommended. In tailings, the failure rate, and these are harder facilities that fail more often, the failure rate of tailings dams with review boards is 0. I would think we could get to 0 or very close to 0 with review boards on heap leaching.
The federal procurement ombudsperson released his latest report on Tuesday morning with a number of recommendations on how the federal government can improve its methods of contracting out to private businesses. Alexander E. Glitch's report calls for the establishment of a chief procurement officer and one set of rules for how the government awards contracts. There is also a recommendation to use artificial intelligence to modernize the system. The report also contains a section on Indigenous procurement, noting problems with the Indigenous Business Directory, how Indigenous businesses are verified, and contracts awarded to businesses misrepresenting themselves as Indigenous. The Ombudsperson's office is set to release a full review of Indigenous procurement practices in March of 2026.
I can simply say that we will have a lot to say on this subject kind of in the near term, because there are issues that are reflected, both what we heard in the previous Parliament and I think what we're seeing as part of the preliminary review in our report. So please do follow that closely. We anticipate obviously reporting to parliamentary committees at the time of completion.
Unlike other Mohawk communities in Quebec, Ganowag does not have any regulated cannabis stores, but that may soon change. Some community members are against opening pot shops, with more than 100 people protesting outside of the Band Council office back in April. As APTN's Savannah Craig reports, tensions around the issue have been growing, resulting in no one currently on the community's cannabis board.
That's where it all starts, with these ladies. So that's how I became, and that's where my children continued.
Darlene Alfred is a grandmother and a great-grandmother.
I don't take any type of cannabis. I never have, but what I was looking at was getting involved because I have a lot of grandchildren growing up.
Grandchildren that she says she's looking out for.
I wanted to see more of regulations, controlling. I didn't want it to become an industry where you have 181 stores selling cannabis products.
That's why she became a board member of Ganowag's Cannabis Council Board, or the KCCB.
License requirement and procedures.
For the past year and a half, the KCCB has been up and running. Part of their job is to review applications for future cannabis stores, as regulation of cannabis could be in Ganowag's future. Alfred says not everyone in the community supports it.
The community is divided.
The regulation of retail stores in Ganowag has been on the table since the federal government legalized cannabis 8 years ago.
We're telling you that you have to shut this thing down.
Joe Diom is a representative of one of the longhouses in Ganowag. He says some community members are against opening up cannabis stores.
We don't want cannabis!
More than 100 people marched to the council's office to protest the issue in late April.
Our concern is the welfare of our children and our people because of the possible influx of unsavory characters.
Alfred resigned from the 3-person KCCB on June 24th.
This is my letter.
Citing political interference by the Mohawk Council of Ganowag. One member resigned before her, and another announced she wouldn't seek re-election when her term ended on June 24th. The key moment for why Alfred resigned was when 3 council chiefs visited a potential cannabis site without the KCCB knowing.
3 council chiefs had overstepped their boundaries and they went to a site visit, which they had no reasoning really to go. One was their portfolio, yes, but that was overstepping the boundaries of the board because of the simple fact that we don't know what transpired in there.
She says the 3 chiefs are Jeffrey Daibo, Jeremiah Johnson, and Yahahio DeLille.
At the beginning, it was a secret thing. So what happened was it took us, I would say, at least 4 weeks to find out who the 3 were.
APTN News requested an interview with the Mohawk Council of Ganowag, but it did not respond before our deadline. APTN News spoke with Grand Chief Cody Diabo prior to Alfred's resignation, just days after enacting a 45-day moratorium on the retail sale of cannabis in Ganowag on June 11th.
We're going to try to engage with as much people as possible during that time.
The Grand Chief had vocalized his understanding to the community's protest to APTN News in April.
It's an emotional situation, rightfully so. People are worried about their children, about their daily lives. We see what's happening in other places in terms of cannabis, unregulated cannabis industries.
Despite division in the community, the council is moving forward with assembling a new board. The MCK put out a call on July 2nd, seeking 3 new individuals to serve on the KCCB. But Alfred says the council should listen to the community, which has already said no to any cannabis shops.
They have to listen to the community because we are the stakeholders of the land.
The moratorium is up on July 25th, and deadlines for new KCCB board members is July 18th. Savannah Craig, APTN National News, Ganowag, Mohawk Territory.
We have more news after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time now to take you to British Columbia, where APTN's Tina House recently met a little girl who is finding creative ways to support her family while she battles a life-threatening disease.
Marley Young is just 5 years old and had just started in kindergarten when she started to not feel well. She was diagnosed with B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia, known as B-all leukemia, and was medevaced from their home in Terrace to Vancouver, where she began receiving chemo treatments. The family is doing their best to support her, and her mother and aunt decided to start selling fry bread to make extra money, to help with living costs while away from home, and to bring in more family during this challenging time. And Marley is involved in every step in making the fry bread too.
Just spoon and slowly take it out. Now sprinkle it in the bowl. Now the next bowl.
Today, she is with her mother Elizabeth, sister Ariana, and aunt selling fry bread outside of this Home Depot in Vancouver.
It's usually done in between chemo treatments with BC Children's Hospital. We're doing this round of chemo is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we usually aim for Tuesday and Thursday. When we're at the hospital and they give her Play-Doh to play with, she'll make little circles and then she'll flatten it out. And I bug her, I'm like, oh, you're making fried bread? And she's like, no.
So far, business is steady with customers lining up to buy 2 pieces for $5. But one furry customer named Ruru distracted Marley away from her sales. Elizabeth says she is grateful for all support, but it's been very difficult for her and her family being away for 9 months in a new city.
We're currently staying at Ronald McDonald. We have been since. We finally got funding for groceries from Jordan's principal. That took a while. My sister back home, she made a GoFundMe that our hometown's been quite supportive of. We have a few continuous donors, but this was just to get our minds off of chemo and get us out the door so we're not cooped up.
Marley has just successfully completed 9 months of chemo and will be heading home soon. Her mother says Marley will also continue to work on perfecting her recipe for her fry bread while continuing to heal. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
We now want to tell you about this week's second web poll question. Over on our website we ask, do you believe that ensuring clean drinking water for First Nations should take priority over speeding up resource development projects? Your answers are yes, no, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca/polls to have your say. We have another Miss Indigenous Canada contestant up next. That interview right after the break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. St. John's 20, Charlottetown 23. 21 in Cartwright, Happy Valley, Goose Bay 23. 24 in Quebec City, Montreal 24. 21 in Sarnia, Toronto 25. Wawa 17, Sudbury's 21 in Sun there. Churchill Smoky there at 23, Thompson Smoky as well as 23. Winnipeg 23, Gimli 22. 23 in Regina, Yorkton 24. 21 in Buffalo Narrows, Stony Rapids 19. 24 in High Level, Grand Prairie 25. 31 in Medicine Hat and sunny there, Red Deer 25. Vancouver 25, Quesnel 26. 15 in Prince Rupert and Rain there, Smithers 24. Old Crow 16, Beaver Creek 18 in Rain. 24 in Fort Simpson, Yellowknife 22. 18 in Colville Lake, Fort McPherson 18. 16 in Chesterfield, in Whale Cove 17. And in Iqaluit 7, Iqaluit 12. Our next guest is from the Saugeen First Nation in Manitoba and calls Winnipeg and Treaty 1 territory home and wants to be this year's new Miss Indigenous Canada for 2025. 27-year-old Tamara Fontaine is a proud Anishinaabe woman who is raising her son Noah as a single mother, and she has overcome many challenges like poverty and teen motherhood. Tamara is also currently pursuing her social work degree at the University of Manitoba and wants to be a strong voice for Indigenous advocacy and justice. We recently spoke to Tamara in our downtown Winnipeg studio. Here's that interview. Tamara Fontaine, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us why you wanted to run for this year's Miss Indigenous Canada?
I wanted to run for Miss Indigenous Canada because this is going to be actually my first pageantry, so it's always been like a goal and an inspiration, an aspiration actually for me to be a part of a pageantry, and this opportunity kind of just like appeared, and I wanted to apply. And at first I was kind of like hesitant until everybody else was telling me, my friends, my family, hey, you should do this, and I was like, I don't know, but you know what, they boosted my confidence, and I also wanted to, not only that, like I have a story to tell and I really want to share that with other young youth. And not only that, I'm also a young mom, teenage. I had my son at a young age, and I also wanted to be an inspiration to those young mothers. Mm-hmm. Someone to look up to, because I have also had someone to look up to, which was like Ashley Cullingbull. Like she was my aspiration of joining a pageantry, so I really wanted to do it.
Yeah, well, that's great. And you're, like you said you're raising your son Noah and mm-hmm. currently going to university studying social work here in Winnipeg. How has that journey been for you so far? Wow,
that journey, it's been a really long journey, to be honest with you. Like I've been in school for 8 years at the university. First was I started Faculty of Arts for 2 years, I think 3 years, yes, at the Aboriginal Access Program, and they taught me a lot. Like they taught me like about my culture and I guess other things that I really needed to learn, which was the Indian Act and reconciliation. I didn't know any of that, and so that really inspired me to move forward, and I wanted to become a social worker. That's when I wanted to become that. And then I switched faculties and I went to the Inner City of Social Work on Suckrit.
It's been keeping you busy for sure, eh?
Yes, it has been, and I'm going back in the fall. So yeah, I really want to, education means the world to me. And not only that, like I also have like a learning disability, which is to do with my memory. So it's kind of harder for me to, it's just harder for me. It's going to take me some time because it's like my short-term memory. And I always thought like, oh, I was always so like insecure about that. But then I learned with other people, I'm not the only one that's feeling this way. I'm not the only one that's experienced a disability. And so it's going to take me a while, but I have a lot of supports in the academic community to help me to achieve that goal.
You're also a jingle dress dancer, and you go to many powwows during the summer months. Can you tell us how important your culture is to you?
Well, it's actually like kind of, I've always been, oh my gosh, my culture, I'm Anishinaabe Moen. And I've always wanted to be a jingle dress dancer. It was my calling. Like I knew I wanted to be that. I always seeked help from community here and Saugeen to help me teach me the dances, the steps. And I've only done it a handful of times, but I'm still learning. And yeah, I really want to continue it, and that's what I'm going to be doing at the Miss Indigenous Canada at the end of the show. It's called a cultural presentation, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be dancing for our community, because the jingle dress is a healing. So I want to dance for our community and for the ones that were lost, and yeah, I'm going to continue that.
And Tamara, if you're chosen for this year's Miss Indigenous Canada, what do you have plans to do with the title?
I guess if I win Miss Indigenous Canada, I think the first thing I'll do, obviously, I'll probably cry. Definitely. I'll invite my son on that stage, and I just would thank everybody, because that would be the first thing. But however, I would really want to, what I wanted to do was I wanted to go travel to communities and share my story and I wanted to create sharing circles with youth and get everyone to be involved and to be there and to talk, to let them be heard of their stories. I just want to be an inspiration and for our young moms out there, they're our water carriers. And I really want to do that.
And finally, Tamara, what's your message to the Indigenous youth out there who have big dreams but don't know where to start?
I was there too. I didn't even know where to start either. I think I just looked up to somebody, which was my mom. I looked up to her because she was a hard worker. She is a hard worker. And I wanted to be a hard worker as well. And I also looked up to other leaders, like Mary Sinclair and Ashley Collingbow. Those are my two that I actually really looked up to. There's other Indigenous leaders that I look up to as well, but I think just doing it might be very nerve-wracking, because I'm also very nervous, but you know what, it's just taking that first step, and you will surprise yourself if you do it. And I think that's the first thing I did. I kept putting myself out there, even though I was so scared. I still managed to do it. I still did it with my son on my hip. And I just think, just go do it. If you love it, I think you'll make it. You'll definitely make it to your goal that you choose.
Important words of advice, Tamara Fontaine. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. And is it okay if I also just want to thank my sponsors and my community? I just want to thank all my sponsors and my community and my friends and family for being here with me and supporting me on this journey, because I would not have been able to do it without all of you. Miigwech.
And that's your daytime newscast for this Wednesday, June 9th. We're back again in a few hours for your evening newscast, including a story on the Native Women Association of Canada's HQ building in Quebec that is now up for sale. That story and more, please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hi miigwech masicho. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next day.